Okay, let's dive in. Today we're digging into a really remarkable narrative. It's from the fourth chapter of the book of Daniel in the Bible.
Yeah, it's quite a story. You've got this incredibly powerful king, Nebuchadnezzar, then this terrifying dream he has.
Right, and a message that, well, it really cuts to the heart of power, pride, and maybe humility, too.
Exactly. And what we want to do with this deep dive, really for you listening, is pull out the core insights, the memorable bits from this ancient text without getting bogged down.
Sort of the highlights and the key takeaways, a clear path through it. So let's set the scene. King Nebuchadnezzar, he's the ruler of Babylon, this huge empire.
Yeah, the superpower of its day.
And the text actually quotes him. He says he was at home in my palace, contented and prosperous. So he's feeling pretty secure, successful.
Like he's got it all figured out, sitting pretty in his palace, maybe looking out over Babylon thinking, I built this. Total control, or so he thinks.
And then bam, something happens he can't control. A dream, and it's not a good one.
No, he says it terrified him. These images and visions, deeply disturbing stuff.
So what does a powerful king do? He calls in the experts, right?
His first move, yeah.
Yeah.
Summons all his wise guys, magicians, enchanters, astrologers, the whole crew. He tells them the dream.
And asks them, what does this mean? But they've got nothing.
Right. The text is pretty blunt.
Yeah.
They could not interpret it for me. Stumped, despite all their supposed wisdom.
And their failure really sets the stage for Daniel.
Daniel, exactly. He's finally brought in. And the king actually acknowledges there's something different about him, says the spirit of the holy gods is in him.
Which is pretty amazing coming from Nebuchadnezzar, given his background.
It really is. He says no mystery is too difficult for Daniel. He uses Daniel's Babylonian name, Belteshazzar. But he clearly sees something, some divine insight in Daniel that his own guys lack.
Okay, so Daniel's there, and the king lays out the dream for him. It starts with this tree.
An absolutely massive tree, right in the center of the land, enormous in height.
So big its top touched the sky, visible from everywhere to the ends of the earth.
And it wasn't just big, it was like teeming with life. Beautiful leaves, loads of fruit, food for all.
Animals sheltered under it, birds nested in it. Every creature was fed from it. It's a powerful image.
It's a perfect symbol, isn't it? For a huge, thriving kingdom that provides for everyone, like Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar, or how he saw it.
Exactly. But then the dream takes a dark turn. He sees a holy one, a messenger coming down from heaven.
A divine figure enters the scene.
And this messenger shouts out a command.
The loud one. Cut down the tree, trim off its branches, strip off its leaves, scatter its fruit, basically dismantle it. Let all the creatures dependent on it flee.
Total destruction, it sounds like. But then there's this really crucial detail.
Yes, the exception. The command continues. Let the stump and its roots, bound with iron and bronze, remain in the ground.
So it's felled, but not completely obliterated. The base, the roots, they're left just constrained, bound. Why that?
Well, that's key, isn't it? It hints that this isn't the absolute end. It's about a temporary state. There's potential for regrowth, but from that preserved foundation. Destruction, yes, but with a possible comeback.
And then the focus shifts from the tree to the person the tree represents. It refers to him.
And the consequences for him are, well, severe. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, live out in the open with the animals.
And this part is maybe the most shocking. Let his mind be changed from that of a man, and let him be given the mind of an animal till 7 times pass by for him.
7 times. Could be 7 years, most people think. A total loss of reason, status, living like a wild animal. I mean, imagine that for a king who is just chilling in his prosperous palace. Terrifying.
And the dream itself says why this has to happen. There's a stated purpose.
Right. It's explicit.
Yeah.
So that the living may know that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men and gives them to anyone he wishes and sets over them the lowliest of men.
So the dream is a lesson about who's really in charge. Power isn't inherent, it's granted. And it can be taken away.
Exactly. A divine lesson in sovereignty delivered through this terrifying vision. So the king finishes telling the dream, and Daniel, well, he gets it.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, the text says he was greatly perplexed. His thoughts terrified him. He knew what this meant and who it was about.
You can almost feel his dread. The king even has to tell him, Belteshazzar, don't let the dream alarm you, which is, kind of ironic.
A bit. And Daniel, he hesitates. He starts by saying, basically, man, I wish this dream was about your enemies, not you.
Yeah, my lord, if only the dream applied to your enemies. He clearly doesn't want to deliver this news.
But he has to. He comes out with it. You, O king, are that tree. He says the king's greatness, his reach across the earth, it matches the tree perfectly.
Then he confirms the meaning of the decree from the Holy One. This isn't just a bad dream. It's a decree the Most High has issued against my lord the king.
And he spells out the consequences again, directly to Nebuchadnezzar. You will be driven away from people, live with animals, eat grass like cattle, be drenched with dew.
For those 7 times, that specific period.
And, just like the dream, the interpretation links the end of this punishment to a condition.
Right. This will last until you acknowledge that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men and gives them to anyone he wishes. It's about recognizing that higher authority. Humility is the key out.
And what about the stump? That part that was left.
Daniel interprets that too. The command to leave the stump means that your kingdom will be restored to you when you acknowledge that heaven rules. So there's hope. Restoration is possible, but only after that acknowledgement. The foundation remains, waiting.
And Daniel doesn't just interpret, he actually gives advice, right? Like, maybe this can be avoided.
He does. He urges the king, renounce your sins. Do what is right. Be kind to the oppressed. Basically, change your ways. And he adds, maybe, hopefully, it may be that then your prosperity will continue.
A warning, but also a potential off-ramp, a chance to change course.
But as the story unfolds, the narrative tells us very plainly, all this happened to King Nebuchadnezzar. The warning wasn't heeded, it seems.
And the timing is interesting. It wasn't immediate.
No, the text says 12 months later, a whole year passes.
And where is the king? He's walking on the roof of his palace, looking out over Babylon.
Prime spot for a bit of reflection, or
Yeah.
maybe self-congratulation.
Exactly. And in that moment, he says the very thing, almost perfectly embodying the pride the dream warned about. The text gives us his exact words.
Is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence, by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?
Wow. That just screams self-aggrandizement, doesn't it? All about my mighty power, my majesty, taking all the credit.
It's the peak of that human pride, attributing everything solely to himself. And the reaction in the story is instantaneous.
The words were still on his lips when a voice came from heaven, not a dream this time.
No, direct, audible. And the voice delivers the sentence. This is what is decreed for you, King Nebuchadnezzar. Your royal authority has been taken from you.
And it repeats the punishment word for word from the dream and Daniel's interpretation.
Driven away, live with animals, eat grass 7 times pass, until you acknowledge the Most High is sovereign. The exact terms.
And the fulfillment, just as immediate as the voice, immediately what had been said was fulfilled.
Total. He's driven out, eating grass, living exposed to the elements. And the description of his appearance, it's intense. Hair like eagle feathers, nails like bird claws.
A complete fall from the height of human power to, well, an animal-like existence. Kingdom gone, sanity gone, dignity gone, living out the warning.
Every single detail fulfilled. A terrifying transformation.
But you mentioned the stump earlier, that hint of hope. The story doesn't end there in the field.
Right. After those 7 times are up, Nebuchadnezzar himself recounts what happened next. He says, at the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven.
Such a simple action, but hugely significant in the context, looking up, looking beyond himself.
It's the turning point, and the result is immediate. He says his sanity was restored.
Just like that. Raise his eyes, sanity returns.
That's how he describes it. The moment he acknowledges something higher, his human reason comes back, and with it, his former status. My honor and splendor were returned to me for the glory of my kingdom.
And his first reaction isn't to reclaim his throne by force, but something else entirely.
Yes, his response is praise.
Yeah.
Then I praised the Most High. I honored and glorified him who lives forever.
And he makes this big public declaration, but it's the complete opposite of his boast on the rooftop.
Totally different tune. Now he's talking about God's eternal dominion, his enduring kingdom. He says God does as he pleases with everyone, in heaven and on earth.
And this line is powerful. No one can hold back his hand or say to him, what have you done? He even says, all the peoples of the earth are like nothing compared to God.
That's the transformation. The man obsessed with my mighty power now sees all earthly power as secondary, dependent. He gets it. He attributes everything, including his restoration, to God's sovereignty.
And physically, what happens to him then?
Well, his personal restoration follows suit. His advisors, the nobles, they seek him out. They want him back. He's restored to his throne.
And gets this, he says he became even greater than before.
Greater, yeah, but presumably with a radically different understanding of where that greatness came from.
And his final words in this chapter really sum it all up, don't they?
They do. He says, "Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and glorify the King of heaven." Why? Because everything he does is right and all his ways are just.
And then the punchline, the lesson learned the hard way. God is able to humble those who walk in pride. That's his takeaway.
It really brings the whole narrative full circle, from that peak of pride through the depths of humbling, back to restoration, but based on acknowledging God in humility. It's a stark lesson presented in this text about power.
Yeah, that core tension, human pride versus divine sovereignty, it feels timeless, doesn't it? You see echoes of that dynamic everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It forces you to think about where we place our confidence, what we attribute success to. Is it all just my mighty power? Or is there more to it? This story suggests ignoring the bigger picture can lead to a fall.
And a path back in this account wasn't fighting harder, it was looking up, acknowledging something bigger. Humility.
Right. It frames humility not as weakness, but maybe as the foundation for real, lasting strength or stability, understanding your place in the grand scheme of things.
So as you listening, think about this story from Daniel chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar's wild ride, losing it all through pride, getting it back through humility.
It leaves you with something to chew on, maybe. What does it mean in practical terms to acknowledge a power or perspective greater than your own? Whether that's God or just the limits of your own control, the vastness of things you don't dictate.
And how might humility, which can feel counterintuitive sometimes, actually connect to real strength, real resilience, or making a lasting impact? Something to ponder from this ancient story.